All right, everyone, it's time to talk about DEI and dovetailed with affirmative action on college campuses in the United States. The concept of DEI, diversity and equity and inclusion, it's a really sappy, honey-dripping, family-friendly sounding way of saying woke. Marxist, in other words. The concept is having all sorts of on-campus programs, ironically paid for with taxpayer money, oftentimes, to discriminate against certain students in order to uplift other students. It is racist and sexist in nature. I'm writing, by the way, as a companion to my political satire that was released yesterday. Orange Man Big, by the way, available on Amazon.com right now. I'm releasing a booklet that also refutes wokeness in a more academic manner. It's meant to be a companion to Critical Race Theory Debunked, because the two things are intertwined and they're joined at the hip. Link in the description. Archived, of course. There's a fluff piece trying to defend DEI on campuses. Again, which is ironically discriminatory while claiming to attempt to end discrimination. But these programs have been around now for 50 years and the inequality hasn't gone away. So clearly it's not working. And so doubling down on it and defending it makes absolutely no sense. The proof is in the pudding. You're in the third generation of these kinds of programs existing now, although the name keeps shifting to make it sound like it's novel so that the taxpayers won't notice their money being hemorrhaged on bullshit. And it hasn't done anything. It has done literally nothing. People's own initiative is the only thing that'll change things. Here's my idea. I can appease the most far-left, woke-toid, leftoid liberal, and the most far-right fucking tradcon at the same time. I can appease literally everyone in the population who isn't a total mentally diseased vegetable with one simple switch with education, and it's something that I've spoken of before. And it should be mandated in any taxpayer-funded educational institution, and it should be mandated in anything else that takes tax money. Fucking corporation, you don't need wokeness. And you don't need the rock-bottom meritocracy where you do whatever you want and the corporation acts like a human being that the right wing wants. You don't need either of these things. You can still institute a meritocracy while solving for discrimination completely. Blind hiring. If an educational institution, or a corporation for that matter, that is taking taxpayer money, and isn't related to needing a stark meritocracy like nuclear engineering or something like that. Okay, we'll make an exception for that. But like, you know, the government is trying to make more eggs because there's an egg shortage. So they're working with egg farmers and giving them subsidies. Okay, well then the egg farmers should engage in this too. Blind hiring, blind enrollment. When you go sign up for college right now, you have to do an in-person appearance and shake hands and shit. They know what race you are, what gender you are. They can tell you you're transgendered, this person's cis or whatever. This person's tall, that person's short. The tall kid has a similar GPA. Maybe we prefer him because he might end up on the basketball team or something. That's the way that it works. You shouldn't have that, though. You shouldn't even see the applicant's name. All that you should see is the school that they attended. In some cases, that may be a tip-off to their race, but not always. You wouldn't see any extracurriculars that are involved with potentially identifying gender or race. So, this student, they were on the black literature team. I think I might know what race they are. This person was in the white kids club, which, you know, of course never exists in a taxpayer-funded institution and not without good reason. Oh, they were in the Asian cooking club or so in the San Francisco school. I wonder what ethnicity they could possibly be. Score those out and look just at the GPA, the SAT, ACT, or other scores as applicable. Extracurriculars like sports and stuff like that doesn't identify necessarily the sex or the race of the individual. Again, with sports sometimes that'd be a problem. Okay, this person graduated NHS, they were in the Key Club, the 4-H or something like that. Volunteer service, you know, they volunteered at the library, they volunteered, you know, the police department or something. They were helping little old ladies across the street. Here's some of their extracurriculars. That's all you need to know. What was their GPA? How well did they do? The kind of courses, did they take honors courses? Did they take very basic courses? And that affected the GPA. You don't see the name, so you don't know anything about them as far as that goes or anything else. The college, or the granted institution, then yays or nays them. That's all that you have to do. They say, yes, this applicant is accepted, or no, the applicant is not. Now, in some cases, this means you're going to have too many applicants. A random generator, an AI fucking system for that matter, can simply parse through that information, cull the list down, and randomize it. It is pseudo-random, of course, so we can't make a truly random number generator. So you simply put the numbers in. I have 10,000 students, but only 5,000 slots. Okay, pick half of these at random. There you go. They get in or they don't get in. That's all you have to do. That's all. Once they accept the position, if you've allowed them in, then you do the reduction if you have to, and then there's a final decision. You can't discriminate. You don't know the race, you don't know the gender, etc., etc., etc. All you know is their merit. And you can't have made that determination on a discriminatory basis. It is fundamentally impossible for you to have done so. Since you have a larger applicant pool than you can accept into the educational institution, the further process is completely random, and then you're going to end up with a random assortment of people that you had accepted. So you're going to end up with people of all races, religions, creeds, and genders in your school. Simple as. Now, if the institution doesn't like this concept of actual meritocracy that's based solely on the cold calculated details and nothing about people's personal lives, they shouldn't even know their fucking income, because we know that's a fucking problem within the American educational system. Once that's solved for, how can anyone bitch about the process? If you end up with a differential within a school with regards to the applicant pool being more male, more female, more black, more white, whatever, it's not a problem, because it was literally, it couldn't have been discriminatory in nature. The reason why the left would balk at such an idea, even though it would solve the entire problem that they're seeking to counter completely and with very, very little convolution, is because the differential would still exist now, wouldn't it? And so that would be their problem. They would have to explain how there's still a differential when you have randomized the process and prevented any possible semblance of discrimination. In other words, what they would have to do is they would have to go into a private schooling system and leftoid that up, and you'd have a bunch of woke Marxist schools. It'd be funny to see the private educational institution would go from being, in many cases, very tilted towards Christianity and like the tradcon lifestyle and stuff, to being a bunch of leftoids. You'd have the Karl Marx School of Diversity and stuff like that, and then they could teach wokeness to people at the college level. I'm sure that those degrees in feng shui, if you're a minivan, and the history of Marxism will get you a job really easily, especially when all the publicly granted corporations would also have to act on a meritocratic basis, and you would suck on paper because, yeah, Karl Marx history probably doesn't qualify you to work in the nuclear factory. It probably doesn't. And especially even if your GPA is high, and it's like, okay, it's basically a bunch of filler courses. It's the other thing. Get rid of all of the filler courses and stuff, and educational costs would be lower. Then you could also solve for the problem, the griping of the left about education being inordinately expensive. By the way, stop building more stadiums and force these schools to use their endowments for a while. That's about all. Peace out.